Good day and welcome to the Biggs Breeder. Today I thought that we could go over some common egg problems and common things that happen with eggs. So let's jump to the video. First we're going to start with the bloom. The bloom, also known as the cuticle, is a natural protective coating on the outside of an eggshell. It is usually invisible, but sometimes the hens will lay a heavy bloom. This is when the cuticle layer is thicker, causing the egg to have a waxy, powdering, chalky, or glossy look depending on how thick it actually is. This isn't really a problem, it is just affects the look of an egg. They are perfectly normal to eat or to incubate. On the left I have put an image of eggs with a heavy bloom on. The cuticle is mainly made out of proteins called glycoproteins, with small amounts of carbohydrates and lipids. The bloom is applied during the final stages of egg production. It seals the thousands of microscopic pores found on the eggshell, ensuring no bacteria, fungi, or dust can enter the shell. That is why unwashed farm eggs often last longer than store-bought eggs. The next problem is called cracked and mended. A cracked and mended shell is an egg that developed a crack while still inside the hen's body in the oviduct or egg tract, because the hen's shell gland detects the crack and deposits extra calcium carbonate over the crack. These eggs are okay to eat, but is not recommended to incubate them, as the shell is often too thick for the chick to exit. This problem is common in young and old hens when the tract is either getting used to laying or is starting to pack up and is becoming too tight for the egg to pass through. This often is a once-off problem. If it's a recurring problem, then I would suggest you check out why, but often it's just a once-off problem. The next thing that's wrong with eggs is pimpled. You get quite a few of these eggs, especially with young hens or old hens, but I'll explain it shortly. The pimples are extra calcium deposits laid down unevenly while the shell is forming, so the egg will have a bumpy texture and feel. This can be caused from stress, a calcium imbalance, young pullets, so their first eggs, old hens when their calcium depositor in their oviducts start packing up, shell gland irritation, and rapid shell formation or genetics. If you start getting many eggs that look pimpled, give the hens extra calcium in a source different to their feed so that they can choose whether they want to eat it or not. But this is also generally a once-off problem. But if it is a reoccurring problem, I'd suggest you change your feed. The next problem is called wrinkled. A wrinkled eggshell means that the shell didn't form smoothly in the shell gland. Instead of a nice even curve, the shell sets in folds or ripples. The shell itself is often thinner and uneven. Wrinkling happens due to heat or cold stress, sudden fright, or predator pressure. These are not good for incubating, as the shells are generally thicker. Wrinkling is also caused from when the hen is busy forming the egg. Before she actually adds calcium to make the hard shell, the embryo inside and the egg membrane actually wrinkles while it's going down the tract, and then when the hen deposits calcium over it, it goes over all those little ripples and causes a wrinkled egg. The next problem is soft shells. This is a big problem if you're getting a lot of these. Soft shells are when the outer shell is so thin and brittle that it cracks and breaks even with the slightest amount of pressure. So whether you're picking it up or putting it in a dish, or the hen actually just sits on it, it may actually crack and break. This is generally caused from low calcium and vitamin B. This is a simple fix. All you need to do is add more vitamin B and calcium into their diet. And I'd also suggest you change your layer feed if this is a reoccurring problem. This is not a good problem to have. And then the last problem is no shell. Yes, chickens can sometimes actually lay eggs with no outer shell. The eggs only have the inner membrane and then the insides, which is the yolk and the egg white. They do not have the outer shell. These are generally laid by first-time layers or birds that are under a lot of stress. So example is at a show, or if you've just transported them for a couple of hours and then they lay. It will most likely have no shell. So you don't actually need to really worry about this fault. I wouldn't recommend eating these eggs, as there's no outer covering protecting bacteria and germs entering the eggs. So they'll most likely be filled with harmful germs and diseases, I guess. So I wouldn't suggest incubating them or eating them. And because of the no shell, when you incubate them, it will lose too much humidity or gain too much humidity and go rotten. But thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.